Good morning, everybody. This is Sue at the Soggy Stamper. This is Saturday morning at 10:35, and this is to take the place of my Thursday afternoon technique live time. I was busy last Thursday and wasn't able to get online, so I want to show you how to do 3 ways to do an easy faux watercoloring technique that will make beautiful cards. I've got some samples to show you. First is this one, and this one is using one of the new in colors. This is Misty Moonlight for the card base. The gold, beautiful gold laser cut paper is from the Forever Gold Specialty Designer Series paper. There's this pattern, a variety of them, just absolutely beautiful. And then this watercoloring technique is one of the ways that you can do the watercoloring, which I will show you in a minute. And then there is this one. This is actually the card that I will make today. This is another faux watercoloring technique. The Designer Series paper is part of the Forever Greenery, I believe it's called, paper. This is beautiful shades of green, and I want to show you some of them. I'll show you all of them actually. So there's this one that has berries or leaves. It's part of the Greenery suite, and it has a fern stamp and dies. This is the back side, which I used and will be using for this card. Then there's this nice background, and the front side are some ferns on a white background. Here are more ferns. This is soft sea foam, and then the jaded, or just jade. And then here are another variety of fern leaves using just jade. And here's a bigger fern pattern using the shaded, all of a sudden can't think of it, shaded spruce and old olive, and the seafoam green, soft seafoam. Oh, the back side of this one is this pattern. This is another ferny leaf side. And then the back side is mossy meadow and the soft sea foam. And then there's this one, and a kind of an all-over fern pattern. Lovely, lovely, lovely Designer Series paper, and I love the colors and the shades of them. The other card that I have made for a sample is this one. This one is another technique using to create the faux watercolored background, and then I stamped with the image right on top that it's not watercolored. So and the base of this one is the soft seafoam. So at any rate, let's get busy. I found on this card, I stamped on heavy or thick Whisper White cardstock, and that worked pretty well, and that's what I'm going to be using for one of the things. Another thing that you can stamp on and works well for watercoloring is our watercolor paper, and so I'll be doing some of the demonstrations with that. So with the first one, for this card here, I'm going to color with markers. This is the first technique. You can color right on the stamp. Can you see? I'll do it right here. Oh, let me turn on a light. So I am using shaded spruce, old olive, and I'm using granny apple green for the greens on this one. So I'm just going to color. Like that. Going to make the stem for sure old olive. Put a little bit of old olive in here too. Kind of blend the colors together slightly. And then the shaded spruce, finally, this last bit. Now, got a water spray bottle with just plain old water in it, and I'm going to lightly mist a couple of times, and I'm going to move out of the camera for a minute. So you can kind of see how the colors are starting to run together. And then I'll stamp. Onto my thing. And so that's the first way that you can do full watercoloring. I'm going to set this aside and let it dry for a minute. And we'll come back to that later to finish the card. So that is one technique. The next technique I'm going to show you, I'm going to actually use watercolor paper, and I'm going to use this block. I think I'll take the stamp off. I had the cool idea of drawing with a marker on my stamp box to show where the stamps, the cling stamps should go. Unfortunately, that stuck to the edge of the index, and now I have it on my block, and I think it's going to be there permanently. Okay, so for this technique, to create this watercolor wash, you start coloring your block, just scribbling on it. Put as much ink on it as you want. I probably should have started at the top because my colors get lighter as I go up. This is the Granny Apple Green. Whoop. Need to use the brush end. Okay. Now here's the crucial thing. If you, I'll be just a minute. Okay, so if you put too much water on there, you'll get something like, not enough water, you'll get something like this or like this. If you put too much water on, it'll run all over everywhere, kind of like that. So the trick is to get just the right amount. And again, you spritz and you let it run a little bit so that it kind of blends. And then stamp it on your watercolor paper. And let it kind of just blend together. Okay, then you can take a paper towel and take out the puddles, and you end up with this nice graded watercolor wash. That's what I did here. I think I had a little more water there so it spread further, or I scribbled clear to the edges. When I tried it first, the first time I tried it, I tried it and I probably threw it away, but there was a very sharp edge along here because I had too much water on that edge. So that is the second way that you can do a watercolor, faux watercolor that creates a wash. Now before I stamp on this, over stamp it, you have to let it dry because otherwise your image there, you have to let this dry before you over stamp because the water that's still here in the cardstock would cause your other image to spread. So that's how I made this one. And that is a watercolor wash. Okay, then the third way is to stamp your image on the cardstock. I'll do it both on watercolor paper and on the extra thick Whisper White. You can use plain old Whisper White. I'm using the extra thick because I ran out of Whisper White. Can't believe it. And I'm not going to be able to get it until in June because of the delay. So you ink up your image and then you stamp it. And that's what it looks like before you do the watercolor technique. Oh, I was going to do it twice. Okay. So you can see this is one of those incredible stamps, or distinctive stamps. So you have some nice fine detail in the thing, which makes, very beautiful things. And then you mist it lightly. And this is critical if you don't mist it, so you don't mist it too much. And I need to blot the excess off. Oh, come on. Where'd it go? There it is. So that gives you a very blurred watercolor effect. Try it again with a little bit less. You need just a fine mist. There. So you can see how it just blurs the image just a little bit to give it more of a soft look. Could probably stand a little bit more. It gives a softer look, more of a watercolored look. And that is what I did for this card. So this was stamping directly onto the watercolor paper and then misting with water afterwards to create a soft image. Now if I take this and blot it, yeah, so you play around with it, see how much water. It's a little bit of a fine thing. It depends on what you're going for, whether you want a lot of water on there and have it really run, or whether you want to have it just a little bit of mist so that it causes it to still look like it has been, so you can still see fairly definitive lines, but just a little bit of fuzz to it. So that's the technique. That is how you do 3 different ways of faux watercoloring. You can do the watercolor wash using scribbling markers on your clear acrylic block. You can also do it, this I've been using the Stampin' Write markers, the water-based ones. You can do this technique also with the Stampin' Blends, and instead of misting with water, mist with alcohol. I have to work fairly quickly with that because the alcohol dries fast. So that is creating a background by scribbling directly onto the block. This one is the one where you stamp the image onto watercolor paper or onto Whisper White. Well, you could do it for any color actually you wanted, and then you spritz with water. And then the other one is this one, where I colored onto the stamp image with markers and then misted the stamp itself. So let's go ahead and finish out one of the cards using this. Got to clean off my stamp though. Okay. So I'm going to make this is the card I am going to make. I've got this part done. The card base is 8.5 by 11 and folded in half, and it is just jade cardstock, one of the new in colors. This is the greenery. Oh, just a sec, let me get the right thing. Forever Greenery Designer Series paper, and this side has the round maidenhair fern leaves, and then the other side is the stripes. And I decided to use the bold stripes for the background layer. And can you believe this is my last snail? The Stampin' Up! Is changing to a new company for adhesive. They say it's going to be better than snail. And when I went to reorder some refills, they were already sold out. So I'm having to use, I'm sparingly using this. Can't order the new adhesive until June 3rd when the new catalog comes out. So put that up there. Now I want to use this greeting to a friend that makes me smile. And I don't think stamping it here would show up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp it using, not Old Olive, yeah, no, I'm going to use pair pizzazz. And I don't want, I have to have it oriented this way because my dies that I want to use doesn't fit that way. So I'm going to stamp it like that. It is crooked. Must have gotten the index on it slightly crooked. So let me see. Well, that's better. And then I'm going to cut it out using a smaller one of these stitch layering dies. I'll be right back. So Stampin' Up! Is coming out with a new, their own die cutting machine, embossing machine. And what's really cool is the standard one is 6 inches wide. The Big Shot was. And they are going to have one that is the standard size, like that. The Cuttlebug, if you are familiar with the Cuttlebug, it was a die cutting platform machine, and the plates, the sides would fold up. So with the new Stampin' Up! Die cutting embossing machine, that is what happens too. Will take up less space on your counter for storage. But what's really cool is they have come out with a half size, a mini one that is 3.5. The cutting width will be 3 inches wide, so it's a little bit smaller, darling little thing, and it's going to be perfect for situations like this where I don't want to lift a big heavy die cutting machine in to show actually do the die cutting, so I won't have to get up and leave like I just did. Now this is going to fit in here like this. And I did not want to have the other end, so I just did just chopped it off with my Stampin' Trimmer. So I'm just going to slide that in here like that. I'm going to finish the card off with a piece of Misty Moonlight ribbon. It's a nice soft woven ribbon and easy to tie a bow in. I oftentimes just do an overhand knot. Oh, come on. Of course, bow tying is under camera is difficult. There. An overhand knot is like this one. Guess you have to cut faster to get it straight. Okay. Attach the bow. What in the world? Oh, fuzz from the ribbon. there we have it. To a friend that makes me smile. I have lots of friends and they always make me smile. I like smiling. I like to think I'm a smiley person. So before I go, I wanted to show you the new in colors. It's a beautiful color combination. We have the Just Jade. We have this beautiful Misty Moonlight. We have a gorgeous Cinnamon Cider. Oh, I need one more. A Magenta Madness. Come on. That color. And Bumblebee. Bumblebee. The retiring colors on the 2018-2020 retiring colors were a bright combination. This is a more subtle, a little bit grayer in tone, except for the Cinnamon Cider, which I think is a nice warm tone. But the others are more of a muted, more of a grayed shade, but they go together so beautifully. And to show you that off, here's a card I made. I think I might have shown it before. Using all those colors in this card. This is the card we're going to make for my June 7th new catalog celebration party. It's going to be a Zoom party. And so if you would like to come, give me an email. I'll be happy to send you a catalog. I would, and when I send you the catalog, all the supplies you need to make the card will be in here. Won't be having the happy birthday. I have rearranged things, and down here in this corner will be a space for you to stamp whatever greeting you want. Because maybe you don't need a lot of birthday cards. This is using a beautiful Birds and Branches stamp set. Actually, it's the dies that coordinate with it. It's called Birds Plus More, Birds and More. And then I used one of the poppy label dies to make the sun. And this happy birthday came from the Well Wishes dies. So anyway, remember that if you want to have a catalog, contact me. My email is sue@soggyastamper.com, and I'll be happy to send you one if you live here in the United States and don't already have a demonstrator. I'd love to be yours. So thank you for watching, and I'll be back next Thursday with another technique for you. Have a great rest of your weekend, and happy Memorial Day to you. Stay safe. Bye-bye.